Hi, friend. You know those days when the house isn't even that messy, but something about it still makes your brain feel scrambled. I had one of those mornings not long ago, just standing in the kitchen holding a half full coffee mug staring at a drawer I couldn't close. Again. And for some reason, that silly stuck drawer almost made me cry. It wasn't about the drawer. It was the drawer and the counter and the 5 mugs in the sink and the pile of random stuff that had no home. That quiet, heavy question slipped in again. Why can't I just keep things under control? So no, this video isn't about deep cleaning your house or transforming into a minimalist overnight. It's just a little moment. A list of 20 small things you can let go of today. No guilt, no drama. Just a little more breathing room. These are things I've decluttered myself slowly in real life as a real person with real laundry still in the dryer. And if you're feeling even a little bit overwhelmed, I hope this list helps you feel a tiny shift, like your space is starting to listen to you again. Start with the silly stuff, the tiny junk that secretly drives you nuts. Okay, let's not get heroic yet. We're starting small, like the kind of small that hides in bathroom drawers and quietly mocks you every morning. You know what I'm talking about. That crusty old mascara you might use again someday but haven't touched since before the pandemic. 3 free hotel shampoos from a trip you barely remember. Lip balm that's basically just vibes now. These things seem innocent, but oh, they add up. One day you're just trying to find your tweezers and suddenly you're elbow deep in expired coupons, a broken hair clip, and a half-melted candle sample from 2017. So here's what I do when I'm on the edge. I pick one drawer. Just one. No music, no podcast, no elaborate plan. Just me, a trash bag, and 5 minutes of righteous judgment. If it's broken, dried out, or makes you sigh when you look at it, gone. If you forgot you owned it, also gone. If it's a tiny thing that somehow still makes you feel guilty, girl, especially gone. Last week, I found 2 nail files, a pack of gum that had turned to fossil, and a glittery eyeshadow I swear was a dare from my 20s. It felt amazing to toss them. Almost like getting my sense of humor back. Now listen, if everything I just listed still doesn't make your space feel lighter, then come back tomorrow. I'll be sharing the deeper stuff, the why am I still keeping this kind of clutter? You know, the stuff that pokes at your emotions a little, so don't miss it. Okay, now let's move on to the stuff we didn't even buy, but still feel weirdly stuck with. Okay, so we've cleared out the little junk. That felt good, right? But now, let's look around the room for a second. Not in the drawers, just out in the open. You see it too, right? That one decorative thing you bought in a totally different era of your life. Maybe even a totally different personality. I had this rustic farmhouse candle holder, metal distressed wood, all the drama. It was giving Pinterest 2016. At the time, I was convinced it made me look like a woman who bakes fresh muffins and has linen napkins. Spoiler, I microwave everything and haven't ironed since college. But I kept it for years, just sitting there, not matching anything, not doing anything, just quietly whispering, remember who you thought you were. Here's the thing. If I wouldn't buy it again today, I don't keep it today. Simple. That includes candles I burned halfway and never touched again, souvenir trinkets I outgrew, cute things that don't feel cute anymore. You're not throwing away memories. You're just letting your home grow up with you. And honestly, that feels really good. All right, now that the shelves are breathing, let's talk about something sneakier. The things you meant to use, but never did. All right, let's talk about the shelf of guilt. You know the one. The candle you never light. The decorative bowl from your coworker's destination wedding. The mug with a weird joke you don't get, but someone gave it to you so it just stays. I once kept a scarf in a color I would never wear. Bright neon coral. It was a gift. From someone I liked. But every time I saw it in my closet, I felt 2 things: guilt for not using it, annoyance that it was still there, and yet I kept it for 3 years. Why do we do that? Here's the truth I had to learn. Keeping a gift out of guilt doesn't honor the person who gave it. It just punishes you. The love was in the giving. You've already received the thought, the kindness, the intention. You don't owe anyone permanent shelf space. So here's your gentle permission slip. If it's not something you actually use or enjoy, it's okay to let it go. You can thank it out loud if that helps. I do. It's weirdly healing. Okay, take a deep breath because next up is another category that loves to sneak in and stay forever, clothes we don't wear, but feel like we should. So let's talk about your closet. Not the everyday stuff, I mean the aspirational section. That one dress you were saving for a fancy dinner you never got invited to. The jeans you swore would fit again someday. The blazer that makes you look successful but also somehow feel like you're wearing a costume. I had a pair of high-waisted trousers that made me feel like a very confident French woman as long as I didn't sit, eat, or breathe. Guess how often I wore them. Here's the honest filter I use now. Would I put this on today, like right now, and feel good in it? If the answer is, no, it's not a keeper. You're not a bad person for changing. Your body changes, your style changes, your life shifts. Clothes should match you, not haunt you from a hanger like a failed resolution. So fold it up, thank it if you want, and make room for the stuff that actually fits your shape, your mood, your Monday. Now let's talk about the shoes. You know the ones. So cute, so painful, so very still in your house. Let's head down to the floor now, shoe zone. You already know the ones I'm about to call out. The pair that looks amazing but feels like punishment. You keep them because they complete the outfit, even if that outfit ends in blisters, limping in regret. I had these gorgeous pointed heels, nude suede, a little gold buckle, very stepping into my power energy. But after 20 minutes, I was stepping into Advil. And yet, I kept them. Why? Because they were expensive, because they were pretty, because I wanted to be the kind of woman who wears shoes like that. But here's the real talk. If the price of looking good is physical pain, it's too expensive. You're not giving up by letting go of shoes that hurt. You're just refusing to suffer in the name of closet aesthetics. Try this. Put them on. Stand for 10 minutes. If your feet are already angry, donate them. Let someone else love them. Or not. Either way, they're not your problem anymore. Your feet carry your whole life. They deserve to be comfortable doing it. Coming up next, the underwear drawer. Yup, we're going there. Okay, listen. We all have that part of the drawer. The undies we only reach for when everything else is in the hamper and we're one load away from desperation. You know the ones. The stretched out pair that sags like it gave up on life. The lacy ones that look cute but feel like barbed wire. That one weird seamless thong that somehow still shows through leggings. How? And let's not even talk about socks with mystery holes. Like, how is it always the big toe? Here's what I finally admitted to myself. If I avoid wearing it 26 days out of the month, maybe it doesn't need to live here. You deserve comfy basics that don't make you angry before 9 a.m. So, do a quick check. Would I put this on right now and feel okay about my life? No, toss it. Recycle it. Cut it into rags if you're feeling thrifty. Let's make drawer space for underwear that doesn't feel like a trap. Next stop, the fridge, because apparently expired mustard counts as emotional baggage now. You ever open the fridge, and immediately want to close it again? Not because there's nothing to eat, but because it feels like a crime scene in there. Half-used sauces, leftovers with trust issues, something in a takeout container that looks, strangely, alive. And don't get me started on the fridge door. That's where all the forgotten hopes live. The fancy mustard you bought for a recipe you never made. The artisanal jam you were definitely going to put on toast. 3 open bottles of soy sauce, all with just enough left that you feel weird throwing them out. One time, I found a tiny jar of truffle mayo that expired 2 years ago. 2 years. It survived 2 spring cleanings. Why? Because I thought it made me look classy. Look, I get it. Fridge clutter isn't just gross, it's weirdly emotional. You feel guilty for wasting food. You think maybe I'll use this soon. And sometimes tossing something feels like tossing out a version of yourself who meant to be more organized, more gourmet, more together. But here's the thing. You don't need expired condiments to prove your potential. So start with one shelf, or just the door. Toss anything that's fuzzy, sticky, weirdly watery, or makes you go, "What was this?" And when you're done, you'll open that fridge and feel peace, or at least less fear. Next up, Tupperware, and the rogue lid that's been gaslighting you since 2021. Let's open the drawer. No, not that one, the one you have to brace yourself for every time because opening it feels like launching a game of plastic Jenga. You go in looking for a container. You come out with 3 bottoms, 5 tops, and a mild existential crisis. Somewhere along the way, Tupperware started multiplying like rabbits. Takeout containers you swore you'd reuse. Mismatched sets you've held onto since your college days. Lids with no bottoms, bottoms with no lids. One rogue piece from a system you don't even own anymore, but might fit something if you ever find it. You won't. Here's the rule I finally made for myself. If it doesn't have a match, it doesn't get to stay. I don't care if it's a good size or if the lid is probably in the dishwasher. If it's been unmatched for more than a week, it's out. Bonus tip, keep only the amount you actually use. You're not running a catering company. 3 to 5 containers in practical sizes will do just fine. Decluttering this drawer does more than save space. It saves time, stress, and that 3-minute rage spiral when you're packing leftovers and nothing fits. Next up, the stack of cookbooks and papers you've been meaning to get to. Since when exactly? Let's take a stroll over to that shelf. You know the one where ambition goes to nap. Cookbooks with stunning photos and 0 food stains. Instruction manuals for appliances you've already mastered or returned. Notebooks from old jobs. That course you were going to finish. Last year's planner. And the one before that. I used to keep a thick stack of printouts labeled recipes to try. They lived in a folder, a very hopeful folder. I hadn't opened it since 2019. When I finally did, I tossed all of them. Because, surprise, I use my phone like everyone else. Here's what helped me finally let go. If it hasn't been opened, touched, or remembered in the past year, it's probably not essential. And if you ever do need that manual again, it's online. Everything's online. Decluttering this pile doesn't mean giving up on growth. It means making space for the version of you that's here now. Not the one who bought 6 meal prep books and still orders tacos twice a week. Hi, it's me. Next, let's talk tech clutter cords, cases, and gadgets that don't even match anything you own anymore. You know that box of cords? Yeah, that one. It started with good intentions. Keep the charger just in case. Hang onto the old phone, save the random USB cables because they might fit something important. 10 years later, you've got a box full of spaghetti and mystery adapters. One cable's from a camera you sold in 2016. Another belongs to a phone you gave your cousin. And let's not even talk about the drawer with 3 mouse pads and a cracked iPhone 4. Here's the rule now. If you don't know what it's for or haven't touched it in a year, let it go. Technology moves on. So can you. Recycling centers and donation programs exist for a reason. You're not a museum. You're not NASA. You don't need backups for your backups. Clear out the tech clutter and suddenly that drawer becomes usable again, not a haunted tangle of your digital past. Now that we've got your cords under control, let's walk into the closet again. There's a whole section of special occasion clothes just waiting for an occasion that never comes. Let me guess back of the closet, covered in a dry cleaning bag, maybe still with the tag. We all have those pieces. The satin dress you bought for a wedding that got rescheduled, twice. The blazer that screams important woman in charge even though you work from your couch. The heels that are stunning but might break your ankles and your spirit. I once kept a sparkly cocktail dress for 5 years. Every time I saw it, I thought, one day, some fancy thing will come up. You know what came up? My kids get school play. I wore jeans and a sweater. Here's the honest check-in. If it doesn't fit your life or your body or your style anymore, it's okay to let it go. You're not giving up. You're getting real. You can dress for your actual Tuesday, not some imaginary gala. So unless you're truly planning that event, release the outfit. Let someone else sparkle in it. You've got enough to shine in already. Next up, let's talk about all that, just in case stuff that's quietly stealing space and peace from your home. You know those things you keep, just in case. The second suitcase with a broken wheel. The extra bedding for guests you haven't had since 2018. That weird kitchen gadget you used once and immediately regretted. It all sounds so reasonable. What if I need it? What if someone stays over? What if there's a fondue emergency? But let me ask, has that what if ever actually happened? I kept an old set of curtains in case I redecorate. I also kept a folding table in case we host a huge dinner. Newsflash, I don't host huge dinners. I reheat lasagna and call it a win. Just in case is sneaky clutter. It makes you feel prepared, but mostly it makes your space feel cramped. Here's a new rule. If the case hasn't come up in the past 12 months, it's probably not coming. And if it does, you'll figure it out. You always do. Let's clear it out and make space for what your home actually needs, not what it might need in a parallel universe. Next up, we're heading back to the kitchen for a quick peek at those overachieving gadgets and cooking tools you're low-key scared of. We all have one, the spiralizer, the cake pop maker. That life-changing slicer you saw on a cooking reel at 11 p.m., it started with good intentions. I'll start making smoothies every morning. I'm gonna meal prep like a pro. I'll finally learn to bake bread from scratch, spoiler alert. I used my mini waffle maker once, made 2 waffles, immediately remembered, I don't even like waffles. These gadgets are sneaky because they feel like a personality upgrade. You're not just buying a juicer, you're buying the version of you who drinks fresh celery juice at sunrise. Except you're not her. And that's fine. Here's the honest test. If it takes longer to clean than to use, I don't need it. If I have to, YouTube how to assemble it every time I don't need it. If I keep saying, maybe next week and it's been 6 months, yeah, I don't need it. Keep the tools you actually reach for. Donate or pass on the rest. Someone else might be in their bread-making era. And now, while we're still in the kitchen, let's take a hard look at the mugs. Yep, the mug situation is out of control. I swear mugs multiply when the cabinet door is closed. One day you've got a neat little set. The next thing you know, you're playing Tetris with 17 mismatched cups and still reaching for the same 2 every morning. Some came from birthdays, some from vacations, some you don't even remember acquiring, they just appeared. And suddenly half your cabinet is a mug museum no one asked for. I had one shaped like a giant donut. It was hilarious. Until I realized it didn't even fit under my coffee machine. Cute, yes. Practical, not even close. Here's my rule now. If it doesn't fit stack or get used at least once a week, it's out. No guilt, no ceremony, just space back in the cabinet and less chance of an avalanche every time I grab a cup. Because honestly, fewer mugs doesn't mean fewer cozy mornings. It just means you actually enjoy the ones you love instead of digging through a comedy collection of World's Best Boss and Keep Calm and Carry On. Next up, let's tackle the linens. Towels, sheets, and blankets that are way past their prime. Closets full of linens sound responsible, until you realize half of them are either scratchy stained or never even make it out of the pile. I once had 6 sets of sheets for one bed. Why was I running an Airbnb I didn't know about? And don't get me started on towels, the crunchy ones that never dry properly but still hang around like unwanted house guests. Here's the thing. Most homes only need 2 sets per bed, one on one in the wash. That's it. Same with towels, keep a couple you actually like using, not the whole ragtag collection from every gym membership you've ever had. I finally let go of 3 sad old blankets I swore were backups. Turns out no one in my family was ever reaching for them unless the washing machine broke for a month, which, let's be honest, has never happened. Freeing up that shelf, it felt like a whole new closet. Suddenly, I could see what I owned instead of shoving piles back in like a cartoon suitcase. Next stop, jewelry and accessories that don't even feel like you anymore. Jewelry is sneaky clutter. It's small, it's sentimental, and it's shiny, which makes it harder to admit when it's just not you anymore. I had a chunky statement necklace that looked amazing on someone else, on me. It felt like I was cosplaying as fashion blogger circa 2012, but because it wasn't broken and technically still cute, I kept it for years. Same with belts, scarves, and those earrings that pinch your ears but look great in theory. Every time I saw them, I thought, maybe I'll wear it someday. Spoiler, I didn't. Here's the rule now. If it doesn't make you feel like yourself the second you put it on, it doesn't belong. I keep the pieces that feel natural, the ones I reach for without thinking. The rest, gone. Because honestly, jewelry should spark joy, not guilt. And when you clear out the not me stuff, the pieces that really are, you finally get the spotlight they deserve. Next, let's talk about the tiniest things that cause the biggest chaos, the buttons, pins, and random odds and ends that never seem to find a home. You know those little piles of stuff that seem harmless until they've taken over a whole drawer? Buttons you'll never sew back on. Safety pins, random screws from something. That one battery you're not sure is dead, so you keep it just in case. I once found 3 identical Allen wrenches in my kitchen junk drawer. Apparently, every piece of IKEA furniture ships with one. Did I ever use them again? Nope. But did I keep them? Of course, for years. Here's the truth, 1 or 2 extras is plenty. 10 is just clutter. Try this, dump the whole drawer out. Keep the things you actually use, scissors, tape, maybe one screwdriver. The rest, toss it, because if you don't even know what it belongs to, it's not saving you. And suddenly, instead of digging through a sea of mystery objects, you'll actually find the thing you need without swearing under your breath. Now that the tiny chaos is gone, let's zoom out to the bigger, bulkier stuff. Tablecloths, rugs, and decorative extras that secretly make the house feel more cluttered than cozy. Let's be honest, how many tablecloths does one family need? I had 5. 5. For a table that barely sees 2 sit-down dinners a week. Same with throw blankets, rugs, and seasonal pillows. At first, they feel fun, a little refresh for your space. But after a while, you realize half your closet is filled with options you never actually rotate. I once kept a set of floral curtains for spring and another set of heavy drapes for winter. You know what I actually did every season? Nothing. The same curtains stayed up year-round while the others sat folded and grumpy in a bin. Here's the test. If you haven't switched it out in a year, you probably never will. Keep the few extras you genuinely love using. Donate the rest so someone else can enjoy them instead of letting them suffocate in your linen closet. The reward space that finally breathes. No more wrestling with an avalanche of fabric just to grab one clean towel. Now that we've trimmed down the duplicates, let's talk about the sentimental stuff, the memory clutter that's harder to let go of. This one's tricky. We're not talking trash here, we're talking memories. Old movie tickets, birthday cards, that stuffed animal from an ex. Little things that once meant everything, but now just sit in a box making you feel stuck. I had a shoebox full of high school notes, the kind you folded into tiny triangles and passed in class. Every time I opened it, I felt weird. Not joyful, not nostalgic, just heavy, like I was keeping proof of a version of me I'd already outgrown. Here's what I finally realized. The memory isn't in the object. It's in you. You don't need the faded concert wristband to remember dancing until your feet hurt. You don't need every single card your aunt ever mailed to know she loved you. So pick a few treasures that still make your heart warm and let the rest go. Snap a photo if you want the visual reminder. Then give yourself permission to release the clutter without erasing the memory. Because your home deserves to celebrate who you are today, not store every version of who you used to be. And since we've made it this far, let's finish strong with the last category, the clutter that isn't even physical. We've tossed the junk, the mugs, the clothes, even the expired pickles. But here's the heaviest clutter of all, the voice in your head that says, "You're still not doing enough. I used to beat myself up every time the house got messy again." Like, if I couldn't keep it perfect, what was even the point? That soundtrack of guilt was louder than any pile of laundry. Here's the truth: your worth has nothing to do with how spotless your home is. Decluttering isn't about becoming perfect, it's about creating a space that feels easier to live in. So let's toss the guilt. Let's toss the self criticism that sneaks in every time you skip a chore. Because trust me, a clear shelf is nice, but a clear head, that's the real freedom. And when you catch that voice saying, "You should have done more, try this instead," take a look at the space you already cleared. Remind yourself that counts. You did that. Because this whole process isn't about less stuff, it's about more peace. And that's it: 20 things you can let go of today. Not in one giant overhaul, not in a weekend long battle, just one drawer here, one shelf there, one little, why do I still have this moment at a time? Because every time you release something that doesn't serve you, you make a little more space for the version of you that does. The you who walks into her kitchen and can actually see the counter. The you who opens a closet and finds clothes that fit her life, not just her hangers. The you who can breathe even on a busy Tuesday. So if you're sitting there thinking, "Where do I even start?" Start small. One mug, one pair of shoes, one expired jar of mystery sauce. That's enough. And if this helped you, I'd love for you to stick around. Because tomorrow, I'm sharing the next layer, the deeper stuff, the harder clutter, the things we keep, for reasons that have nothing to do with practicality. And trust me, that's where the real freedom starts to happen. Until then, be kind to yourself, okay? You don't need a perfect home. You just deserve one that feels like it loves you back.